Look, if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling stagnant, if you're not happy with your life, how much more time do you think you have? I've got some ideas that might help change that reality. Hey, my friends, welcome back. I hope you had a good weekend. We're here in the middle of the week, and I hope things are tracking for you. We're talking about making improvements to our life. We've got our physical, our emotional, our social, our spiritual, all these different arenas that we really need to perform our best, not perfection, just our best. So, for example, look, historically, I've never been a big eater of vegetables until, the writing was on the wall. Look, you got to, dude, you got to change your diet. So every day I try to incorporate a vegetable with my lunch and a vegetable with my dinner. And sometimes I even do it with breakfast. I'll make a egg frittata, throw some chilies in there, some red, yellow, green chilies, maybe some cilantro and onions, some tomatoes. I mean, I didn't realize just how much I really enjoyed vegetables. So anyway, that's just one example in those arenas within our lives that we're looking to improve. So now let's pick up where we left off on the last episode, and let's pop into the picture. Okay, now you might remember this illustration from the last episode. Now, if this is totally new to you, just go into the card that I have over here, so that you can get to that first episode and catch up with us. So we use this as a model for our life. We've got history behind us, and we've got the future ahead of us. And some of us are not really making the progress toward the future because we're spending too much time looking in the rearview mirror. Look, you cannot navigate the map that you're on, the trajectory that you want to go with, if you're constantly looking in the rearview mirror. You cannot change the past, right? Then in the first episode, we talked about, this one will start with why, which I recommend reading. And by the way, I don't get paid for this, but Simon puts words to thoughts and ideas that we historically have had a difficult time just getting our arms around, getting our heads around. So he's got the start with why, and then find your why. And the reason why I do this, and also in the 7 habits, if you go into the 7 habits begin with the end in mind, you'll be able to identify your passion, your values, your why, your purpose, what fulfills you. And why this is important is because until we find those things, we can try different things, but we find that in a short period of time later, we're like over it. We drop it. How many of us have projects that we've started and just dropped? And the reason being is that your passion and your values drive behavior. So if you fail at something, which there's nothing wrong with failure. We always say fail forward, right? One less thing that it's like Thomas Edison, 10,000 ways in which not to create a light bulb. And so it's just one less thing that you have to pursue to have a good life, a fulfilling and meaningful life. This may or may not have anything to do with money. Money's important, but money's usually a byproduct by monetizing perhaps your passion. And when you're working your passion, something that's meaningful to you, that's fulfilling to you, well, you'll never work a day in your life because you're always curious, you're always learning. And that's very important. We've got to always be learning. So anyway, in that first video, I talked about what are some of the things that you're passionate about. And I gave a few questions for you to answer. And if you want a PDF then what I would ask that you do is you go to the Succeed for Life Facebook page and just messenger me and say, hey, I want this PDF on how to find my why, how to find my purpose, my meaning, and I will send it to you. I'm not charging you for that. I think that you should have a format to be able to follow besides just the videos. So hopefully in that process, you came up with a few things, bullet items that you see over here, right? Now I've got 6, but it may not be 6. 6 is a lot. But if you do have 6, that's great. Then you've got all the more fuel behind you to thrust you into the future. But if you have 2 or 3, that's fine too. Is that we need to focus in on those and say, I'm a unique individual. I've got unique skills. I've got unique life experience. I've got so much talent, some of which I haven't even untapped, right? The more adventures we go on, the more things that we do, which we're going to talk about moving out of our comfort zone shortly, the more of those things that we involve ourselves in, the more we discover talents we didn't even know we had. Some will become passions. So let's talk about that in a little more detail. We're looking for common threads in these different life experiences that you had, that you found meaning from, passion with, happiness, fulfillment, all that stuff. Now, passion, purpose, vision, values, mission, all these things are part of what fulfills you. And when you feel like you're on the right track, when you're feeling good about yourself, remember, diet plays a part in that, exercise plays a part in that, good, solid, healthy relationships play a part in that. It brings our self-esteem up. We have more self-confidence, and we actually get the attention from other people because we're in that state. Now, if you want to talk it vibration or whatever, the reality is that when you're feeling good, you have a stronger self-esteem, you have stronger confidence in what you're doing, and people are attracted to that. So consider that a form of the law of attraction, but something that is more physical and tangible and less woo-woo, right? So that being said, when this is always greater than the status quo. If we're just plugging along day in and day out, the sun comes up, the sun goes down, and we're not doing anything different, then we're not changing. We're staying the same, or worse, we're reverting backwards, right? And that's not going to be advantageous for us. That's not going to bring us high self-esteem. The status quo is our comfort zone. And that leads to low self-esteem, which sends out a completely different vibration. When we're feeling stuck and helpless, we become a victim. We have a lower level of self-esteem, and we behave in that way. That's a different vibration. And our behavior, our self-talk is often negative. And when we can't even be our own friend, man, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. When we do the other side, where we're feeling fulfilled, right? We're doing meaningful work. We're following our passion. We have a high level of confidence, and we feel good. Good things happen. That's how it works. It's not a matter of just going through the motions. Now, look, I don't want you to conquer world peace in one day. Just incremental improvements. Like when I changed my diet, I said, I'm gonna reduce my carbohydrates. I'm going to dramatically reduce any fats, and I'm going to incorporate more fruits and vegetables into my diet. I'm going to try to get things as fresh as possible. So I might go to the farmer's market, or I might go to that fresh foods market. Occasionally I go to the local supermarket and pick up my vegetables and fruits there, but I'm a little leery about those things unless I can find some good organic stuff. Just incremental, small incremental behavioral changes. That's what we're talking about. When I talked about James Clark and his book, Atomic Habits, it's not take the world by storm. It's just small incremental improvements. Now, some of you know me. I'm a black belt Lean Sigma, have been for over 30 years. And so the concept or the idea of Kaizen is making small incremental improvements over time that add up to huge, huge payouts. So that's all I'm asking you to do. I don't want you to do everything under the sun, but find one thing in each one of those life arenas, right? Our relationships or social arena, physical arena, getting some exercise, even if it's a walk around the block or going for a bike ride, right? Our mental focus, which means we've got to get better sleep, better rest. You should be getting at least 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep at bare minimum. And then find recreation. Find something that not only rests your body, but it rests your mind. Maybe it's mindfulness meditation. Could be anything like that. If you try that and it doesn't work, go on to something else. There's plenty of things that you can do in only minutes a day. I'm not talking about overcommitting and under-delivering. I want you to be realistic in what you can commit to do and do it. Follow through. This alone will make you feel better about yourself, that you are doing something. This is going to move you into that area of higher self-esteem and better confidence. So these are very, very important. If we want to have a good life, it's about perspective first. It's about purpose first, before results. We don't get results first. Boy, if we did, life would be so much easier, but I don't know that we would have appreciated anything without the challenge, the exercise, mentally, emotionally, and physically, of accomplishing it, right? It's invest first, results come later. So we have to be very, very patient with ourselves. Okay, make it a ritual, a routine. Get out a calendar that shows the hours between, I don't know, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Or maybe it's even longer than that. I get up at 3 o'clock every morning, and I'm up usually until probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So just fit in one little thing, and I don't want it to take more than maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes max. If it's improving your mental capacity, maybe it's reading a book, or better yet, Audible. Listen to a book. All these little things add up to big dividends, and you don't have to do them all at once. Do what you can, baby steps. When you feel you can take on more, have the courage to step up and say, I'm going to add this extra thing now to my routine, because now I have that morning routine all figured out. I get up, I take my shower, I brush my teeth, I get dressed for the day, and maybe I've got some time in there where I can do some mindfulness meditation. So I'm going into work not full of anxiety and stress or feeling depressed, right? Maybe I'm going to do some stretching to get the blood flowing. It doesn't have to be aerobics. It doesn't have to be yoga, although those are wonderful things, but not all of us have the energy to do that right off the bat. We just need to stretch, feel our muscles, be aware of our physicality. That's super important. So the questions we need to ask are, how can I grow in this direction? How can I create that vision? In the last episode, I put a end card for the vision process that I had shared before, and I will leave that also at the end of this video. So there will be important links at the end of the video for you to capture a little more information on. And they're not long. I try to keep my videos relatively short because I know that time is a challenging resource. So how can I grow in this direction? Remember, take the Kaizen approach, little incremental steps of improvement at a time. And then how can I help others? Look, this is kind of like that idea of you're going to the gym, right? And there are days when you just, quite honestly, you don't feel like going. But if you have a partner and they call you up and say, hey, you ready? I'm not really feeling it. Come on, man. We committed to this. I'll work with you. I'm going with you, right? We're going to be there side by side. I'm not going to push you any further than you're willing to go, but we do have to show up. That's what it's all about. So let's talk about this, because this is a big part of this work that we're doing. We've got this model of behavioral tendencies, right? So we're kind of in the area of no effort, or what we call cruising. And we go down the hill. It's easy to go downhill. Why? Because like water and gravity, it seeks the path of least resistance. If we're feeling lethargic, I'm not going to say lazy, because I believe there are reasons why we choose to take action and reasons why we don't choose to take action. It's not about laziness necessarily. It's about maybe I'm not having the right diet. Maybe I'm not getting some exercise. Maybe I'm not passionate about it. Sometimes there are things that we have to do that we're not passionate about, but we do them because they're a gateway to our passion. So we've got to think of the end in mind. We've got to think of that golden ring and say, I really do want that, so I'm going to do this, and make it, basic minimalist habits over time. So here we are, stuck in the middle, if you will, right? In our comfort zone. And it's minimal effort. And it does take effort to stay in your comfort zone. Believe it or not, it's not just, the lowest level of resistance. But if there are things that you have to do, that you resisting doing anything other than what's in your comfort zone still creates anxiety, still creates stress. And then when we don't accomplish them, creates depression, creates a low self-esteem. You can see how this is a domino effect, right? It is all connected. There is no white space. It's all connected. So then we go uphill. Now, uphill, right? It's about learning. It's about staying curious. Now, you could, stay on the couch, which wouldn't be great for us physically. However, if you're on that couch, instead of turning on, streaming video to watch for hours on end, or binging on your favorite season of whatever, or surfing through social media, we listen to a Audible book and learn and take notes. Curiosity is the value that drives continuous learning, and continuous learning keeps us young, keeps us on the ball, keeps us focused, and reinforces the knowledge and information that we need to have in order to be successful now and in the future. So this does actually take a certain amount of risk. That cruising side where you're rolling down the hill, not much risk. No risk or minimal risk we find in our comfort zone. Higher risk, look, it's not going to kill us, hopefully not, to go up the slope of learning and discovery, especially self-discovery, finding your passion, finding your purpose. It's maybe at most psychological risk. It's not a risk of physical well-being or anything like that. So if it's not going to kill us and it's going to make our life better, then let's make that effort. And that's the far side there, the side of putting effort. Ease into it. Like I said earlier, baby steps. As soon as you get your psychological, emotional, spiritual muscularity, then you can pick up the pace, do more of it. The important thing is that you don't do so much that you get discouraged or burnt out. Add incremental practices. In James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he calls them systems. I call them routines and rituals. You get up every day and you add a little something else to your routine that is going to benefit you long term. Very important. And be consistent. That's also very important. I want to focus in on this area. And in the next episode, I will be focusing more on those things that you can do that are not overly taxing, that should not create anxiety or stress, but actually reduce anxiety and stress. And your body and your mind have these accessible that you can practice to be able to put yourself in a better psychological and emotional state. Look, when we're feeling good, we're looking good. When we're looking good, we create results that are good. It's that simple. Doesn't happen overnight, right? It's not like you go to the gym the next day, you're looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? It's not like, you go on a diet and you start eating vegetables like I did, and the next day you lost 60 pounds. It doesn't work that way. Those things in life that are worth having take time. That's why so many people give up. You've got to start with the end in mind. Constantly have that picture of your future self. Post it where it's visual. Create a reminder constantly. That's what I'm working for. That's what I'm going for. And every day I'm going to take a little bit of a step forward in that direction. That's what it takes. Not anything overwhelming. Just improved practices over time. Can you do that? I know you can. I know you can. Haven't done already, please subscribe to this channel, click the bell so that you get the episodes as they come up every week in your feed. And hey, if there's somebody else that you know that could benefit from this, share it with them.